So I'm on a National Norfolk Wildlife Trust, Roydon Common. Now, Roydon Common is illegally being run by a private company. They've put fences on here, they've put a car park on here illegally. This is a common, you can't do that. You can't fence off common land, it's against constitutional law. But these guys rolled in so many years ago and took over and decided to pretend this was a wildlife reserve. Now, I've found things on here which are actually quite disturbing, so they certainly aren't caring about wildlife. There have been commercial cattle on here as well, on a common, which is illegal. Now, this car park, I was sleeping in this car park one night in my car, and a police officer arrived and he said, are you okay? I said, yeah. He said, you're parked here? I said, yeah. And the conversation got to the point where I was saying, well, this is common land, I can park here, so it's not like an issue or anything, is it, officer? He's like, no, actually, this car park isn't owned. It's not part of the common. It's owned by this company, National Wildlife Trust, he was saying. I said, no, because this is common land. Common land can't, I didn't say anything further to him, but common land can't be sold to anyone. It would actually be illegal. And what that officer was saying was also illegal because he was giving me false information about this place. Now, he was saying that where that fence is there, that's where the common land starts. But the common land stretches all the way around here, all the way around, round, all the way around all these fields and across that way there. So why a police officer turned up here and gave me false information about that, I don't know. It was almost like he was trying to make me scared to move on or something, which was strange. It suggests that something a bit bigger is going on here. But anyway, so like I said, this common land has been fenced off in various places illegally, and you can't do that on common land. So in various places on the common, fencing has been put in, illegal fencing. This is a common land. Common land cannot be fenced off. It can't be run by private companies either. Now, there's a story to tell about that, as to how this private company managed to figure out that they could actually do something here. They certainly didn't go to the monarch, because the monarch supervises all common land. They would have to get a writ from the monarch themselves to do anything like this. What they did do though, so I was told by a guy I met walking on here one day, is they went to Roydon and they held a meeting in Roydon, and they invited a couple of people from Roydon to attend that meeting, and they got them to sign a document saying they could come here and do this, as if the people of Roydon have got the right to do that, which they didn't. You know, even if everybody in Roydon turned up and signed that document, they still wouldn't be able to do this. They'd still have to get it signed by the Queen at that time, because Elizabeth was still alive. They most definitely didn't do that. They got a couple of people in Roydon apparently to sign this document. Now, this is what this guy was telling me. That's the story. How they've actually managed to figure out that they could come here and privatise this, you know, as in take it over into private ownership. I was told the car park is owned by them, and they put all these fences up on here. This is common land. So now you can't access this land correctly now. Before I could have gone through the gate I just showed you over there. I can't now. But look at this. This is an entranceway into the common. It's all flooded. Why is this bit flooded? It's always been flooded. It's to deter people walking through this way. Now, if you were managing this land, you would make sure it didn't flood there, wouldn't you? It'd be very easy just to put a very simple little bit of drainage there to stop that from flooding. But these guys aren't managing this to keep it open access to people. They're trying to stop people coming here. You know, this is what this whole wildlife front is about. It's about saying, oh no, no, we're going to fence things off so you don't go there to protect the wildlife. Well, wildlife don't want to be held in ecosystems and tortured with starvation, death, suffering and freezing to death. What they want is to be fed, you know, and to be housed. But again, look here, another gate. We'll come up to another gate here on a common. Now, if you were about wildlife, why would you put fences up? To prevent wildlife getting onto the common. Do you see what I mean? And look there, a cattle grid on a common. A cattle grid. That just shows you, doesn't it, what's going on here. Unbelievable. These people don't care about wildlife. You would not have a cattle grid if you cared about wildlife on a so-called nature reserve. Now, if this was a nature reserve, which is not, but if it was, you wouldn't be allowed to have a cattle grid on here. And you wouldn't be allowed to have fences around it to prevent wildlife getting on and off. So this is common land, which I have a right to access, and I have a right to access it with my bicycle. There shouldn't be any fences here anyway. I've just had to put my bicycle over the gate to get on here. That is illegal. You can't do that. So this is part of the footpath, which is supposedly looked after by these people running this place, and as you can see, again, a great big puddle there flooding the footpath. This is not managing this land correctly, is it? You know, I'm going to have to go down there and walk around. So they're wonderful walks all the way across this land, but I've seen them put up signs there to prevent you walking on there. Now, this isn't a nature reserve, this is common land, so people have the right to access it all. You know, masquerading as people that care about wildlife and then reducing the amount of people that can walk in places. Well, I'm going to tell you a story about this place which is going to highlight why the people that are running this place are really not caring about wildlife. But I'm going to wait until I get to that location to tell you that story. There's a sign there. Now it's probably saying something about, you know, habitat for birds, ground nesting birds, etc, etc. Birds don't want to nest on the ground. What they would like is a nice warm little abode where they can live and where their children can survive and thrive. They don't want to be nesting out here in all weathers. That's not what wildlife want. If you cared about people, if you cared about people of all different species, you would make sure that they were well fed and well housed, wouldn't you? So those signs at the entrance over at the car park saying that farm machinery need access to here, this is a common land. This is common land. You can't farm on here. Now, lots and lots of fences have been put up on here, and I believe some of this land over here is being farmed. Now, for that land to be farmed, well, you can't because it's common land. Well, did the monarchs sign off that the people could farm here? They wouldn't do that anyway, because I spoke to Charles personally, and he told me about common land and the way they like to administer it in this country. They don't want any common land to be used in that way. They want it to be kept as open access to the people of this country, not just people of our species, but people of all species. So putting fences up would be in direct contrast to what he personally told me. Putting fences up that stop different species getting on and off this land. So yeah. Look at all these illegal fences that have been put in by this company. They've spent all this money putting all these fences up, and they don't even have a right to be here. As in, the people who are managing this place do not have. So here we have another misapplication of the term conservation area. Now, as I've explained to you on my other documentaries, conservation area is somewhere in a town or city where certain architectural archetypes are adhered to. You know, types of windows, types of doors, facades for buildings, brickwork, etc. So, once again, this suggests a region-wide collusion because they're all misusing this legal term. They're misusing it here as well, and they're misusing it over at Leziate, you know, and they're misusing it in places, I mean, I don't know how many different places they're using this across this region. So, do you know what I mean? It's just, whew. Now, to say that, there's a lovely walk that way, and I've walked there many times, it's lovely around there, but they're now saying, are they actually saying you can't go down there? I presume they are. Now the thing is, birds in this country, what they want is nice little houses made for them with heating and food, yeah? So that they can actually get on with their lives. What do you think happens when you build a nice heated box and you have food in there, you have water in there, and you have beds in there, and a living space in there, and then, you know, and you put it up in the air so birds can access it? What happens is they go in there and they start living normal lives, happy lives. But all these guys want to do is maintain cold, hard ecosystems with prey and predator, you know, and all that horrible stuff. Now, I want to protect all species on this planet. These guys want to ensure murder continues, and they want to stop you accessing common land. That sign is illegal. This is all common land. That sign is illegal. This is all common land. So there's vehicle tracks here on this common land, showing you that people are driving vehicles on here. Now, if this was a nature reserve and you were trying to not disturb anyone, you wouldn't be driving vehicles on here, would you? You wouldn't be trying to access this land with farm machinery, would you? You wouldn't be driving any vehicles on here if you cared about the wildlife and not disturbing them. Now, I don't think wildlife is a very nice term. We're all people and we all need support. We all need food, shelter, warmth and entertainment, yeah? I'm talking about houses for birds with heating, fridges, food, TVs that they can switch on and off if they want to, with shows made for them with birds on and stuff. They've done experiments like that where they've, I don't like the word experiments on this either, but they've tested the theory and put little TVs in little bird houses like that, nice bird houses, plush ones, and the birds choose to turn the TVs on and listen to and watch other birds on the screen and other like things that are going on. They're interested. So maintaining death and suffering and calling it nature reserve, preservation, and misusing the term conservation area, you know, it shows you that this is not legal because they're completely misusing legal terms. So they shouldn't be here at all, these people, and what they're doing here is an absolute disgrace. And I'm going to qualify that shortly. So more illegal gates and fencing blocking my entry, entry to that part of this common land. How does this help nature? How are the deer supposed to get in here and the birds, the rabbits and stuff, you know? Are the rabbits supposed to try and squeeze through there? You know, it said something about deer on one of those signs. Are you protecting deer by trapping them in here? Is it your decision, is it, to trap them in here? It's just disgusting. What happens when you trap deer in a place like this is they eventually try and jump the fence. And when that happens, they can severely injure themselves, break legs, get caught on the fence and die on the fence. That's why having a fence around a nature reserve is actually illegal. You're not allowed to have fences around nature reserves. So this one's got not just fences around it, but all across it. Do you know what I mean? Now, I don't agree with nature reserves. Like I said, I agree with integration of all species into our society and giving them all houses and stuff like that. But people like to access natural landscapes. Of course they do. But they don't want to have to contend with all this. How's a deer supposed to get through that gate over there? They can't, can they? More areas of this nature reserve fenced off illegally, locked gates, preventing people from accessing the land as they wish to. This is no way to run a nature reserve. This is no way to run common land. There's a gate here. Is that a gate? Oh, there used to be a gate there. Not that I really care, because none of this fencing should be on here. So, anyway. Maybe that's like shows you that they used to allow access in there and now they've removed that access. Yeah, just a gradual removal of access to land that we have a right to access. So I wanted to show you this section of this common land. This is all still Roydon Common, but over there, I just saw it in the distance. I'll go over there now. I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm at this part of the reserve. Now, what's going on here is totally illegal. Again, fenced off, illegally fenced off. Bit of a dangerous way to come in here. I mean, people slip and fall off of those. And look what they've put in there, look. Oh my God. That is so dangerous. Anyway, so this is fenced off. So over here, as you can see, on this common land, we have apparatus installations for commercial slavery of cows. Now, I've seen cows on here, but this just goes to show you, I don't need to hunt around for cows, because from this you can see that they've been here. So, now look at this. Recently been here. Now I assume there's probably cows on here somewhere, unless they've trapped them in a barn now for the winter. It is illegal to put fences on common land. It is also illegal to run commercial slavery operations on common land. Completely illegal. And to get permission to do that, you would have to go to the monarch themselves and get special permission, which they would never do. Now, as I said, I've had a conversation with Prince Charles specifically about common land around Wolverton, and about the fact that the royal family was so joyous that people were accessing that common land around Wolverton, which is on the estate. And we also talked about common land in this country, and about the fact that common land rights would never ever be eroded whilst his mother was alive and whilst he was alive. Those were his words. So for this to happen is totally illegal. It's a constitutional right to access common land, and it's constitutional law to not be allowed to put this on here. And like I said, even in Parliament they wouldn't be able to rescind that right. It would have to go to the monarch themselves, and they would never ever sign a bill, even if it was voted for by members of Parliament. They would never ever sign a bill to erode your common land rights, because they would put the well-being and welfare and psychological well-being of people in this country over a few bureaucrats and their decision making. Now, I don't believe common land rights have been eroded by the Commons, because they wouldn't be able to do it, because they'd have to get him to sign something or the Queen to sign something, and the only way they could do that is if they didn't tell them what they were signing. Now, I know for a fact that the Queen and Prince Charles, King Charles now, read every single letter on every single document, every single word. So there is no way that this is legal, no way at all. But it's happening, and it's happening because people think they can get away with it. More illegal fencing here. And look, I mean, these gates here are for vehicles. Why, if this was a nature reserve, would you want vehicles going through there? And why would you want fences? To stop people accessing this, to stop, you know, people of all species accessing this place. It doesn't make any sense. I'm sure they have excuses, but those excuses don't add up when you look at the fact that this is common land and all of these structures that they put here are illegal. Another part of this common land obviously set up for commercial activities here, and we're about to prove that. Oh look! Oh, there's horses over there. Horses. Now, you're not allowed to leave horses free on common land. Archaic law says that horses must be staked on common land. They can't be left to roam. And the reason that is because fences around common land are illegal, you see. But I suppose this is common land masquerading as a nature reserve illegally. So all we can expect is people to make up the rules as they go along, can't we? I suppose. Now, obviously that archaic law of staking a horse on common land, the Queen doesn't support that because she doesn't agree with keeping people trapped. She certainly doesn't agree with keeping people trapped on this sort of place with fences. Now look, this says conservation area. Once again, please do not enter area because of ground nesting birds. Right, so this is a nature reserve, yeah? We're looking after ground nesting birds apparently, but look over here. These guys don't care about nature. Look at that, a fresh cowpat. I wonder if I can prove that they're using this common land illegally for commercial gain. I don't think that they're paying all the money they make back to the taxpayer who actually own this land. Oh no. I mean, they even got the police to tell me that they own the car park on this land, which was a bit strange, considering that the monarch, the present monarch, who I've spoke to at length personally about common land and his beliefs about common land, would never ever sign a document to support that. But look here, there are cows on here, where they're supposed to be protecting ground nesting birds apparently. That's what they think about this place. They don't care about ground nesting birds. I mean, ground nesting birds don't want to be ground nesting. They want to actually be in nice warm houses, you know, maybe up a tree, like that tree over there. A nice little house at the top there with heating and everything. Wouldn't that be lovely? Oh, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, now look at this. Cows on here for commercial gain. A commercial operation on common land. Totally illegal. And totally in contrast, well not contrast, in complete, what's the word, contradiction to what they're claiming to be doing here, which is protecting ground nesting birds. Like I said, the only way to protect ground nesting birds is to give them a nice warm house to live in. That's how you protect them. But yeah, the cows are just moving around on here, trampling the ground, eating the grass as they do, which is fine. But yeah, do you see what I don't know if you can see on the camera there. There's more cows over there. I can see at least 1, 2, 3 there. There's another one there, and there's another one behind that bush there. This is obviously slavery on a commercial scale here. Obviously on a commercial scale on common land that's been signed over, apparently, there's a couple of cows there, by 2 people that turned up to a meeting locally. What the guys who are running this place don't realise is that the only person to turn up at that meeting that could have actually signed the rights away to manage this land would be the Queen at the time, Queen Elizabeth, and now the King. All these cows here, can you see them? I mean, why would you put bovines on here anyway, knowing that bovines can be highly unpredictable, and this is common land that people have a right to access. Now, I'm not saying that these bovines are aggressive. I wouldn't want to jump to a conclusion like that. But what I'm saying is if you look at global figures for people injured by bovines over the last century, there's been a lot of people getting injured by bovines. So for you to put commercial scale bovines onto a piece of open access common land is actually illegal anyway, unless the animal is staked. That's why the animals always have to be staked. Now, I don't agree with staking animals, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is having these animals on here is massively dangerous as well, because one of them could take, could be very upset by the fact I'm here and just decide to attack me, so yeah, which in theory they'd kind of be within their right to do, because they won't get scared. Hello, it's okay, it's all right. Hello, are you okay? I'm just going this way. So you see, all these cows. So also here, the cows' activity here, they've been here for a while, because this place where you could walk before is now so trodden up by them that it's become a bit impassable. So they're actually restricting my ability to walk across this land. Now, I don't blame the cows, don't get me wrong. It's not their fault. They're just walking around and doing what they do. But it just shows you that managing this land incorrectly makes it inaccessible, which I think is worth mentioning. So I've just had to wade through that, and look, it's ruined my boots. I'm not happy. Someone's going to have to pay for a new pair of boots for me now. And I know where to go. The Norfolk Wildlife Trust. So I've been on this land in all weathers after high rainfall, and you know, on years where there's been high rainfall. There hasn't been much rainfall this year, but this land is now flooded. Now, someone must have messed with the drainage on here to intentionally flood this land, which would be illegal, you see, because common land is supposed to be accessible by the general public. You can't intentionally flood the land. So now I'm having to clamber through flooded land to try and show you an area where I found something rather disturbing one day. I don't know if I can make it through. I'm going to have to get wet. Right, so here one day, just here, I found a cage. And in that cage was a crow. Now that crow had been put in the cage. The cage was designed intentionally to have two chambers. In one chamber was the bait, the crow, and in the other chamber they were trying to trap a fox, I presume. Now this, they were doing on a wildlife reserve. This is supposed to be a wildlife reserve. So there's many problems with that. Now if this was a wildlife reserve, which it isn't, it's common land, but if it was, hypothetically, which is what these men believe they're doing here, it would be illegal to trap any animal here, or even bring an animal from somewhere else that you've trapped and bring it here. So to try and trap a fox here would be illegal, and to try to trap a crow here. Now crows are a protected species. They've been protected for many years. You are not allowed to shoot crows in this country, and you haven't been allowed to shoot them for a long, long time. And the reasons for that are, you know, people didn't want people shooting crows. Now that's why we have crow scarers in this country instead of men roaming around shooting at them. Now obviously men used to roam around shooting at crows until it was made illegal. Yeah. So for a crow to be trapped in the first place would be illegal as well. Now I saw a crow trapped here in a cage, used as bait for a fox on a so-called nature reserve. And when I spoke to the guy that worked here, I said to him, "Now I found a crow over there trapped in a cage." He said, "Well, it's not illegal." I said, "What do you mean it's not illegal? This is supposed to be a nature reserve." You know, I didn't go into the common land side of it because I didn't feel inclined to. But he was adamant that it was actually legal to do so on here. But it's not actually legal to do that anywhere in this country. It's not legal to trap a crow and use it as bait. That is totally illegal across this whole country. And also what is illegal is making common land inaccessible. So allowing this to get into this sort of state here by... Now the reason that bit over there has got so muddy is because this bit has been intentionally flooded. Now they might say, "Oh, we're doing it for the wading birds." Wading birds don't want to be out here in the cold wading around nibbling at bloody morsels to try and get some food. What they want is a nice warm house with a load of food in there of their choice, is what they want. So this is just torture what they're doing here. It's disgusting. And intentionally flooding this land to make it inaccessible is illegal. Look there, there's a footpath sign there. And this land has been intentionally flooded. I know that for a fact because I've been here after a lot more rain than this, and this has never been flooded. So there we go. So I'm now moving across this sort of heathland here. This was all planted here reasonably recently. Just going in that direction. I just wanted to say that fences are proven to not only stress wildlife out, as in people trying to eke out some sort of existence through their kind of the torture of nature, starvation, freezing to death, etc. Not only does it massively stress them out having to deal with fences and you know, trapping them in areas or trapping them out of areas, but it also kills them. It's a proven fact that fences kill people. They kill deer, they kill rabbits. So yeah, there's no excuse to have fences anywhere near a nature reserve. It's just not what you do. So over there in the distance I can see some sort of illegal commercial activities going on this common land here. There's a van, there's a skip, there's a I think it looks like a large skip and a container. And then what is that, another container? I don't know, but some sort of commercial activity going on here. That is not legal. You can't do So evidence that these vehicles here are related to the illegal fencing off of this land. This looks like they've been having fires here potentially. Nitrous oxide. Why would there be nitrous oxide here? That's a bit strange. Are they holding illegal parties on here? Very strange. So, parties, well, evidence that parties are being held on common land, on a so-called nature reserve as well. Well, parties on nature reserves are definitely illegal, you know, if nature reserves are even a thing. I don't think they should be. But yeah, parties on common land aren't legal, you know. Certainly not like, I mean, you can imagine what's going on here, can't you? And nitrous oxide, is it legal to mess around with nitrous oxide? Now, they didn't look like that they were nitrous oxide canisters you'd put in a car, because you know, I mean, cars that run on fossil fuels should be illegal anyway, because you're burning dead bodies. When you burn fossil fuels, you're burning dead bodies. Fossil fuel burning should be completely banned, not to mention the environmental problems that happen from that. But yeah, that looked like some sort of party goers nitrous oxide, which would mean consumption of it. I don't think consumption of nitrous oxide for parties is legal. Isn't it just something you do pharmaceutically? So this is a nature reserve. But what have I found here? A very dangerous looking mess. Look at all this. You can't do this on the nature reserve, can you? Look at it all. Very dangerous. This is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. I can't believe it. And look, all this fencing is off. Fencing off the whole of this common. Illegal fencing. And look over here. Evidence of commercial slavery again. Yeah. And I want to show you something over here. Something important. This gate is locked as well. So where that gate is there, all this land here was part of the common, and this farmland here was part of the common. That area over there is part of the common still, I believe. I'm not going to go over there, I haven't got time. But yeah, all this land, to my memory, was all part of the common. So why it's farmland now, I really can't understand that. Now over here, we've got a problem because this is part of a footpath here. But look, we've got barbed wire. They're saying there's barbed wire and shooting on this property. On a nature reserve, this is part of the common. But they're admitting to shooting on there. Now the footpath, you can walk around that way and the footpath goes through here. So there's a sign there, do you see it? Yeah. So I just wanted to quickly show you on the map. Now that line there is where the footpath goes, the line on the left hand side. The bit on the right is this section where they're saying they're shooting. But when I go up to the main road, I find there's a sign
You know, the road that comes across into these woods here, I find a sign that kind of shows that they're probably actually shooting in an area much larger than that. But, you know, something like that, I don't know. But, yeah.
Now I'm going to walk through this way. Now, over there is the so-called shooting area. But let's have a quick look there. So, there's a footpath here, right here. And over here, with no barrier at all, no physical barrier. Look, I can just walk straight through here. See, look, over here. Apparently, there's a shooting area over here. That's what that sign says. So, well, I'll just take a quick look up here. This is all part of the common. So, someone's decided to just say that this land is theirs. Maybe are they trying to privatise this land illegally? Well, I know there's some houses that have gone up over there as well. And there's some farm buildings here, which I don't remember. They weren't here before when this land was as it should be. I'm just going to go back through that way and walk up that footpath and just see if the situation that's going on there is still there. Now, they're freely admitting there to shooting on there, but I could just walk straight on there. Anyway, I mean, this is woodland anyway. This is all open access woodland, part of the common anyway. So I'm just going to get my bicycle. So I'm now walking up that path I said I was about to walk up. I'm just going to walk up there. So what we've got here is a pheasantry, an illegal pheasantry on common land. And I've just walked up that way, and that shows you they're shooting here. You can walk down that way to this shooting area they say is a shooting area. There's no fences, there's nothing barring my way. They used to have a much larger pheasantry operation here. They had a big building here. Well, you know, you can take them down. It's like a wooden building, nothing with a foundation or anything. So what they've done is they've moved these here instead, probably because they can whip them away quickly at the slightest notice, if required. I think that's probably the theory, but it just shows you that they're shooting here, right next to this public footpath and on common land. So highly illegal and highly dangerous. So the footpath sign's back at the gate at the edge of where they're saying the common is. Well, at the edge of the common is further along, but there wasn't proper signage there to show that there's a footpath here. There should have been proper signage, big footpath signs pointing down here, and then a big footpath sign pointing down here. They've got those little badges there. But anyway, I'm just going to move across this area here quickly. I've just come from that direction. Now this piece of common land goes all the way to the main road there, all the way. It always did. But this part of it has now been turned into farmland, and there's been houses built here. A farming operation going on here, on common land. Why is this not part of the common anymore? I don't understand. I haven't got time to go over there and take number plates, but I don't think they're necessarily going anywhere. Anyway. Another sign here saying, danger, barbed wire and shooting on this property, private, no public right of way. Well, the public have a right to access this woodland anyway, they have a right to roam. So, I don't know what this sign's saying that for. Plus, this is part of the common, so this sign is highly illegal as well. I just thought I'd say it. But I did find it, so I thought I'd take a picture of it. So the public have a right to access this land, have a right to roam. Down here there are some houses built on this piece of common land that stretches all the way to the road that way. Did the monarch okay the building of these houses? So some more, these houses aren't the ones I just mentioned that way, I haven't gone to those, but these ones are built just before I get to the road.
West.